Hello and welcome to another episode of Top Deck, the series where we take a look at some of the leading TCG deck lists. And on today we have Giles, who managed to get second place at the Chichester Regional with none other than Gouki Orcust. A very interesting take on the deck, which utilizes the incredible ability of the Gouki cards to just instantly give you access to like 4 link materials, so you can get out your Appaloosa really easily and then proceed to do the full Orcust combo free from Nibiru. So let's take a look at the list first. Double Suprex, not opting to play the third one. Double Octo, 1 Rescorpio, 1 Headbat, 1 Twist. Double Nightmare, 1 Harp, 1 Symbol, 1 Wand, Triple Connector, 1 Dolphin. Double Junk Forward, 1 Red Layer, and double Butter Spy for the Warrior lineup. So you got the 3 typical special summons. Connector obviously is the full combo on its own. And then you've got the Butter Spies in case you want to just normal summon something and then proceed to combo after that, which does allow you sometimes it allows you to do some interesting chain blocks and stuff as well, although it's not typically super relevant. Then double Nessie, 1 Jackalope and 1 Tsuchinoko. And then triple Ash in the main, he has opted to play a hand trap, which we often see just being cut from these kinds of builds. Double Rematch, 1 Babel, you've got to play some equipped spells, so there's a Phoenix Blade and an Axe of Fools in here too. 1 Rota, triple Instant Fusion, triple Call By, triple Imperm as another hand trap. We've got the 1 Brigandine as the extra Warrior special summon, and the 1 Crescendo. For the extra deck, not just 1 but 2 Isolde, which allows him to play around people just like Imperming or Veiling the wrong effect of this. Then Mermaid, Cerberus, Phoenix, Unicorn, triple Galatea, 1 Long, 1 Appaloosa. 1 Borosword for the OTK combos, double Dingisu, and then the instant fusion target is just Ragin, not opting to play the Winder here, because you never really go for a subdued combo, you always go for the full package with Appaloosa and all of the Orcust stuff. For the side deck, triple Pank, triple Nibiru, triple Lancia, triple Twisters, double Red Reboot, and 1 auto win against Striker, the Imperial Order. So that is it for this deck. Let's get the commentary from Giles. So we'll start off with the rounds actually. Round 1 he went up against Pure Thunder and went 2-0. Game 1 setting up the Appaloosa with 3 materials and the full Orcust combo, which obviously they won't be able to deal with. The deck is so reliant on the monster effects going through that they just can't do anything about it. And then in Game 2, Giles ashed and impermed the combo, so the opponent just ended on a Solar Pass. But Giles also bricked, normal summoned a Rescorpio to beat over the Solar, and then after a few turns of back and forth, the opponent set up a Colossus. However, Giles drew a Connector and resolved the full combo for the OTK. Round 2 against Pendulum Endymion, a 2-1 here. Game 1 opening Octostretch and Headbat with a Junk Forward, so there's actually a play here and a Danger 2, so able to add enough cards for next turn with Isolde and then resolve full Orcust combo. However, the opponent was able to OTK through the board, so it just wasn't enough there. Game 2, Giles established the full board with Appaloosa with 3 materials, alongside Dingisu, Longisu, and Crescendo setup, as well as Suprex, Rescorpio, and Rematch all added it into the hand, and used to OTK on the following turn. Game 3, opening Ash Nibiru and Butter Spy and Connector and Called By. The opponent normal the Dark Worm to add the 0, used in tandem with some draw spells to get 3 counters on a Servant. However, there's an Ash for the Servant, so the opponent is stuck with the 0 scale and a 2 scale, and is really stuck. And Giles can just OTK with the combo without needing to use the Nibiru or the Pancratops, which he drew for turn. And then round 3 against Sky Striker, the Floodgate variant going 2-1 here. Game 1 the opponent used Demise into There Can Be Only One, which Giles was unable to out because there was an anchor and Giles had a handful of warrior monsters. Game 2 he resolved the full combo uninterrupted and then OTK'd when the opponent couldn't break the board. And in Game 3 he opened Red Reboots as well as lots of warrior extenders to play through all of the sets and use Appaloosa to negate the Ray effect engrave and OTK through there. Round 4 against Pure Orcust, a blind first build, went 2-0 here. So game 1, Giles established a full board, which the opponent could not break because Appaloosa is too strong, negating the 10 Thousand Eyes and a Harp altogether. And then in game 2, Giles bricked, however, he was able to resolve the normal Orcust combo using an Ibloo that the opponent gave him, because you do have to play around the Nibiru there. And then eventually won a very grindy game thanks to the third Galatea and second Dingisu in the extra deck, on top of floating through all the Gouki cards. Well, round 5 against Pure Orcust. A blind second build though, going 1-2 here, so the only loss of the event. Game 1, the opponent cannot out of the board and scoops. Game 2, Giles uses double imperm, however the opponent has many extenders and continues to make Ding and Galatea with Gao being negated, then normal summons a Fossil Diner, which obviously can't be outed. And then in game 3, Giles just opened an unplayable hand and used Regen to set itself and passed, and proceeded to be OTK'd from there. Round 6 against Pendulum and Endymion. Game 1, there's a T set from Giles, however Imperm allows him to stay alive and then draw junk forward for turn, which gives him enough stuff to clear the board using the Nightmares and establish a crescendo for draw for turn, which prompts a concession. So record of 6-1, finishing second out of 64 players, and let's get some information about the background for this deck. So the theory behind it was that Nibiru cannot be used to stop the combo, because you establish the Appaloosa as the 6th summon, and if you get Nibiru'd on the 5th summon, then you can just add rematch and do the full Orcust combo anyway. Isolde allows you to play through Ash or Impermanence. Striker impermed his Isolde's first effect, however he just made a second one to do the full combo anyway. He also felt that the standard Orcust board was too weak and was too easy to OTK through, especially by a going second OTK based build, which we've seen a lot of recently. Appaloosa mitigates this, and the 3 monster negates align very well against the other methods of board breaking, provided that the opponent doesn't open a double mind control. The high number of warrior extenders also makes the deck very consistent, and the Gouki cards allow you to add additional combo pieces for the following turn, which is really strong. And it's also worth mentioning that because you play the Regen in the extra deck, the interaction with Connector allows you to rip 2 cards from the opponent's hand and do the full combo, including combo pieces from the opponent's hand, because Regen is so big with 2,200 attack points. How was the event for him? He said it was really well run and there was only a small wait between rounds, which was really nice. The people at the event were all really amazing and there was no salt throughout the event, which made it very pleasant. He decided to take this deck because he'd been playing Pure Orcust for a really long time and loves the deck. However, he felt that the board was way too weak and he would just lose all the time. He didn't want to lose and he didn't want to have to play a blind second mirror match. So from there he wanted to play a deck which can still grind but makes a slightly better board, as well as remaining resilient to hand traps. There's a US player who's been collecting lots of tots with a Gouki Orcust deck, but he's not releasing the list, so Giles thought that he would build his own variant just as a strategy to try out that ticked all the boxes where he felt that the pure version was especially weak, and the deck also is equally if not more consistent than the pure builds, and always has a turn 2 play if you get blown out, which is really important. The board also aligns quite well with the Orcust decks and other meta, as well as being versatile against the rogue decks. Then I wanted to know if he felt like it could play through more problems than the traditional version of Orcust or the Go Second. He says yes, because they need to be able to hand trap the Isolde, and then you are free to go into the Mermaid with any extender after that, so you're just always able to play through more interruptions. The deck also does not lose to Nibiru, and it's just able to establish a lot more defense and OTK in much simpler states because you have so much in terms of resources being added back. Even the Axe of Fools came up being pretty nice and did actually work out pretty well for him. Is it ever a problem having so few Orcust cards, however, because, you know, there are only, one of each of the main ones? He said no, not really, because the warrior cards let you play through all of the interaction anyway. He didn't want to have to brick on the Orcust cards themselves, so he kept the engine very small. This also didn't hurt his ability to grind, as the wand is still in the deck, and the full package of extra deck monsters allows you to repeat the combo as much as pure, along with the added benefit of floating through the Gouki cards. He was able to outgrind Pure Orcust in round 5 in a very back and forth game, as the deck grinds just as well until you draw Gouki cards or Connector, which become total blowouts at that point. Lots of combo decks we see are playing a very low hand trap count these days and make up a large portion of the field. I wanted to know if he felt like Call by the Grave had the impact that he wanted it to for this event. He said that while it was generally pretty weak at stopping hand traps, because he mostly got hit by impermanence, the card is still very good as an additional piece of interaction if your combo goes uninterrupted. It also stops blowouts like Lancia post game 1, and it stops the symbol, which is very good as you're not reliant on Dingirsu in the grind against, as you're very reliant on Dingirsu against Orcust variants, and you are able to trade it with spheres too. As for his opinion of Nibiru, given that so many builds, including his own, play around it by just making Appaloosa or the Cyber Dragon Infinity, he said he was able to draw it just the once against the Pendulum player. However, Ash was enough to stop the opponent then due to them misplaying. However, if the opponent had made the correct play, then the Nibiru would have won him the game. He likes it in the deck, especially as breaking the boards is a real challenge. Also, if the opponent plays around the Nibiru, it means that their board is slightly weaker to being broken, allowing the Nightmare cards to be really good post-side when the opponent fears the Nibiru. He was scared of the card in general for the event, as almost everyone was siding it, which was a huge part of his choice to play the Gouki variant. The hardest matchup, he says, is Floodgate Striker by a mile, as well as decks like True Draco, any back row heavy decks. You have a really horrible time against Floodgate, such as there can be only one, which is so prevalent, as well as Summon Limit, which are often blowouts. The Striker Floodgate that he played at the regional won his game due to there can be only one being so hard to out, and even though he was able to out it a couple of times in the other matches, the advantage collection was just massive from the Striker side. He managed to win the match by establishing a board that the opponent couldn't break, and then by drawing the sided cards. Any changes he would make to the list, he would cut the dangers for even more Warrior Extenders and 2 more Gouki cards, including the 3rd Super X, which he felt was really missed during the event. The danger cards are pretty much just bodies with no upside, and you often have bad hits in your hand that you cannot mitigate. He wanted the opponents to hit them pretty much 100% of the time, and the extra deck felt perfect as every other card came up multiple times, and he never felt like he needed anything else. The side deck was also very good, and he thinks it will obviously evolve with the format as well, of course. Shoutouts go to Sev and Ryan Nye for being fellow Rees, and for the best of people, and to Ollie Roberts for being the nicest of human beings. Also shout out to everyone at the event for being so friendly, and the organisers of the event for allowing it to run really smoothly. And last but not least, shout out to Perry and to the Yu-Gi-Oh channel for signing the mare so that he never had to draw it. So thanks very much, Giles, for coming on, sharing this awesome Gouki list, and I'm sure that we'll be seeing a lot more of it coming on in the future as people start to realise the impressive power of these warrior combos. Thanks for watching this episode of Top Deck. If you have any comments or suggestions that you would like to make, leave them in the comment section down below. Check out the description for details of how you can get involved in this series. You can enter by voice interview, or instead you could just send all of your information over Facebook Messenger. Anything like that will be absolutely fine. If you want to see anything in particular from the upcoming series, then be sure to get in touch, and I'll see you guys in the next video.